from Fox 5 New York, classic NYC diners face uncertain future. And of course, my name is Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. Please subscribe. I'm begging you.
I'm begging you, please. Come on, please.
Like, comment, share. It costs you nothing, but it helps me a lot. And if you do want to spend money and help me, go ahead and buy my book, New York City 2020, Gotham Unglued, available on Amazon. And of course, the link will be in the description.
We love a good diner, you know what I mean? Diners are a quintessential part of New York, New Jersey culture, but
Absolutely, and I do like Rosanna, but diners are everywhere, Ro, okay? We all love diners, and the reason I clicked on this specifically is because they put the Seinfeld diner in the thumbnail, and I have been there. It's kind of like a pilgrimage almost. You have to go there, and there's a couple tourists outside standing around, but it's not hugely overpopulated like that stupid Friends house in the West Village or East Village or whatever it is. But, I mean, the idea of the Seinfeld diner going under is absolutely heartbreaking.
you see many of them are not in business anymore.
Yeah.
They're like a thing of the past.
Yeah, kind of like all of the businesses in the Bay Area.
Fortunately, Good Day Wake Up anchor Dan Bowens. Word is you know a thing or two about diners.
Listen, it is every New Yorker's birthright to be able to eat at a diner. Maybe you were out all night, you wake up in the morning, you got to get that nice greasy meal, maybe a little scrambled eggs, cheese on the side. That bacon, I like it extra crispy. Well, whatever the case may be, there's no debating this. Between gentrification, rising rents, and changing neighborhood demographics.
Really, bro? Gentrification, is that what you call it? When the mayor is black, the DA is black, the attorney general is black, the chief of police is black, and you're talking about gentrification, right? I mean, just give it a rest, guys.
These longtime city staples are vanishing.
And of course, just as an aside, this gentrification nonsense, it's obviously a cudgel. They like to beat people over the head with it. I can remember, very briefly in Oakland, California, when a Starbucks was going to open in deep East Oakland. And if you know anything about Oakland, deep East Oakland is, it's not the best. Anyways, a Starbucks wanted to open, and they said, well, you need to do this and that and have some sort of community center. I think they were going to open a huge Starbucks, which would have maybe helped revitalize the community. But then they said, no, that's gentrification. So you want to clean up the city, but you don't want big businesses to move in. So you want to have it both ways, and you just can't do that. And these people have been so corrupted. Their minds have been, they've quite literally been brainwashed. It is leaking out of their ears onto their shirt down to the floor. It doesn't make any sense.
This doesn't make any sense.
But I digress. This is about the New York City diners. And again, once again, I think diners, I could almost make the argument that diners are more important in the middle of the country, right? Think about Wisconsin, right? I went to a diner in Wisconsin at like 7:30 in the morning when I was road tripping one time, and the guy was like, oh, you want a beer? I was like, bro, it's 7:30. And they're like, oh, no, there's regulars here. They drink beer all day. That aside.
They are those timeless city sanctuaries.
And James and Carla Murray, I actually follow them on Instagram.
Not just eateries, but cultural landmarks, where every booth can tell a story.
So I just want something very simple. Can I just have a coffee?
Right.
2 eggs scrambled.
Perfect.
With bacon extra crispy.
Simple, iconic, satisfying. The classic qualities of a New York City diner.
And why did you want to go to a diner?
It's New York. You have to.
Harriet and Don Cook are tourists in Manhattan.
We were from Highlands, North Carolina.
One thing.
Why? Why would you be a tourist in New York? Especially not right now. 5-10 years ago, I could totally understand. In fact, I was a tourist in October, I believe, and the weather was absolutely perfect. I was like, I'm moving here. It's worth the price of admission. And it was, until they completely overstepped the bound and got greedy.
They wanted to do breakfast at any classic hole-in-the-wall city diner, but finding one wasn't easy.
We had to use Siri to find one.
This time, Siri brought them to Hector's, one of the city's oldest eateries, serving people in the meatpacking district for decades. And you guys have been here since 1949?
1949, that's when they opened this place.
The gritty exterior made famous by the movie Taxi Driver and shows like Law and Order. Nestled under the popular High Line, where tourists now stroll, but this diner was open even back when the High Line was an active train line. Freddie Mañares and his partner bought the place in 1988.
Well, everything changed now.
It's true. Across the city, we've seen many icons vanish, from Odessa's in the East Village to the all-night diner Florent. A 2019 New York Times report found an average of 13 diner closings a year.
Okay. And are they going to tell us why this might be happening? What could be the reason? I mean, I'm sure there's a handful of reasons. And you have the incredible, astronomical exodus from the Bay Area as well. But we know by now that these two cities, New York, the New York metro area and the San Francisco Bay Area, operate from the exact same corruption playbook. And they do not care, right? They not only do they not care, they would rather destroy this so they can, before you know it, they're going to say, well, we're just going to have a government diner.
Over a 3-year stretch, and that was before more problems created by the pandemic.
I guess in particular,
those problems were not created by the pandemic. Those problems were created by the political regime, right? And they used the pandemic to trick you into thinking that was necessary. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember thinking, hold on, like there's no way. They are literally trying to get me to throw away everything I've known for my entire life and just go with what they're telling me right now. There was just no way, right? It just didn't make, the pandemic, kids getting kicked out of Applebee's. And now where's that all? We all can see through it now. It's quite literally a joke now. It is laughable after you destroyed millions of lives. All
gay 19 times? The ones that we found closed the most often were food-related businesses, where there's really, really long hours and you have to get up like really, really early in the morning to start prepping for the day.
So New Yorkers Carla Murray and James Murray started documenting those changes. A series of books, Storefront NYC, featuring...
I published a book too. It's called New York City 2020. It's available on Amazon.com. The price fluctuates. I have no control over it, but it is 260 full color back and front pages documenting the demise of New York City. I didn't know they made a book. I do follow them on Instagram. I thought it was just kind of, I guess it is art. I didn't realize they were actually documenting. Of course, why would I not think that? They were just cool pictures to me.
The facades of mom and pop shops, dive bars, and of course, the diners.
I wanted the whole collection of our storefronts to kind of tell the story of how important these are to the fabric of New York City.
The demise of many, almost always the same, they say, and far too common for many in the city. The rent is just too high.
And those were 415 numbers. Those were 415 area codes. That's San Francisco.
In the city, the rent
415
is just too high.
The best way to preserve these small mom and pop businesses so they can stay open for future generations is to actually shop there. When you go inside your local diner and where we go to get our coffee, when we walk in, they already have like the coffee ready, like on the counter waiting for us.
Perhaps
here we go. I guess they were going to get copyright strike for something. That was like a weird Seinfeld remix. But this is why I clicked the video. I think they're going to talk about Tom's right now. Man, obviously, if you've seen any of my videos, or of course, if you know me in person, I absolutely love Seinfeld. You can watch my Instagram story. There's constantly Seinfeld memes, relevant Seinfeld. It's amazing. And the reason the show is so good is because it is quite relatable. I say everything that happens to you in life can either be traced back to Seinfeld, It's Always Sunny, or The Simpsons, with Seinfeld being at the top of that list. But I digress.
no diner in the city has achieved the iconic status of Tom's Restaurant, the Morningside hype spot featured prominently on the show Seinfeld.
It's become more difficult to operate and run.
Manager and owner Mike Zulis says the diner has been in his family for 50 years and operational for about 75. And he has a secret about Seinfeld, the cast, and how they produced the show.
They didn't actually film in here. That's, a lot of people think. But they did film the commercial in it. And they sat in the last row, the last table at the middle row.
Through it all, he says some qualities keep all the menus on the table and business operational.
Success of the diner is very simple. Good food, good service.
Feels like home.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Back at Hector's in the meatpacking district, I can't...
Okay, I guess that's good that the Seinfeld diner is not closed. Could you imagine, right? I mean, for the Seinfeld diner to close, I guess they would have to be just aging out and say, hey, you know what? We want to sell this, or we're and turn it into something else. Because if you can't maintain, even through all the crime, all the wild migrants, and corruption through the roof and whatever. If you can't maintain the Seinfeld diner with that legacy behind you, then that's a completely different problem. But it sounds like they're doing okay as far as you can in New York City.
Can confirm the comfort food hits the spot, but this spot is also at risk.
Oh, you think that the rent's going to go up?
There are rumors of new development in the area and the possibility of rising rents.
Who would move there?
New York was already a loser state. Like California is a loser state.
Right? I'm just genuinely curious, right? Who would move there? And if you were to open a business, your target market would have to be incredibly rich. So it just becomes, and that people have said this for years, becomes a playground for the rich. They have gutted the middle class, which is 100% true. And there's going to be nothing but a handful of junkies that you throw some crumbs, some crumbs. They're self-vaccinating under the Williamsburg Bridge in this case. And then the people who live at 432 Park in a $6 million condo. And of course, 432 Park is there's terrible rumors. I don't know. I'm not rich enough to live in there, but there's some pretty gnarly rumors about how the building isn't really up to par and it's mostly empty. It's very reminiscent of the Millennium Tower in San Francisco, which is this huge undertaking that only rich people can live in, but it doesn't matter because the building itself is not doing well. But that's a different story.
Longtime customer Adam Rames isn't ready for his spot to vanish.
It seems like a family. It's like a family place. You can come, you can socialize with people. You can just sit down, don't worry about anything. I've been down here for 33 years. Hector's has always been here. It's like a family place. Yeah, you can't find that no more.
You can't find it as often anymore. You might be able to still find it here or there. Hector's in business for nearly 3 decades, along with many of those vanishing shops that were down in the meatpacking district when they actually packed meat and did some of that. So it's one of those old throwbacks that they have there.
I used to go to Tiffany's.
Yes, in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn. I don't know if they're still around. I feel like they're not.
They weren't a part of our quick survey that we did out there. Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, I'm glad because there's lots of stories that went. Because that was that was like going to the club afterwards. Right. It was like another club.
The scene.
Everybody was there.
Yes, and this is part of our series. That's why we're doing the series, because there's so many things that we love about New York and tourists.
That's why we're doing this series, so we can highlight the cognitive dissonance of these absolute morons who can't tell why this is happening.
Like who we saw in the story, they came to New York to go to a diner, or one of the things they wanted to do, and they had to use Siri to find one because they just weren't on the street corners like they used to be.
I mean, this is pretty incredible, right? The cognitive dissonance is, of course, through the roof. These people want to have their cake and eat it too, and refuse to understand, refuse to connect the dots that are so close, they're practically touching. But pattern recognition could turn you into a conspiracy theorist